he'll definitely say something.
I actually went to the Rocky Mountain Cigar Fest, but I went and helped a guy work there, so that got me in the show.
No fair.
Yeah. It was a hell of a show. Good God, they sold. I found out they sold out in before like 4 hours completely. So my 2 days later was never going to get a ticket.
Wednesday evening, Wednesday afternoon, morning, wherever you are joining us from, welcome to the Light 'em Up Lounge. As every week, here we are, same time, same station, for God knows how long this has been going on with our dear friends, family. Always great to be here with you all. Always great to share exciting and very interesting stories, ideas, concepts, and individuals and personalities in and around the cigar industry. Today, something special awaits us. We will be talking about the confluence and the amalgamation of arts and cigars. We have an incredibly interesting special guest tonight, who is a dear friend, a rising star in the arts world internationally, and a young gentleman, like all of us actually, who appreciates the finer things in life. And so without further ado, let me introduce today's guests, Chris. But as always, just a very warm welcome to those of you joining us over on Facebook at the live stream. Please make yourselves heard in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd love for you to chime in and share your comments and questions with us. I'll happily forward them to Chris here at the lounge. For all of you here via Zoom, friends, family, regulars, make yourselves heard, chime in, and let's have a very interesting and inspired discussion. Arts and cigars. Christopher Hanschitz, my very dear friend, an incredible artist, painter, excellent content creator, photographer, videographer, you name it, but in particular, a great friend and an exceptional human being. Chris, it's such a pleasure to have you at the Light 'em Up Lounge. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time, and let's get this show started.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the whole concept from the start, like what, 3 years ago?
Oh, more than that. I think.
Yeah, more than that. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks to finally be here.
It's a privilege to have you, mate. It's a true and sincere pleasure. Chris, before we get into the whole arts and cigars thing, tell us a little bit about your work. Tell us a little bit about your journey. You're a young guy from Carinthia in southern Austria. You came to Vienna with a very adventurous spirit and mind. You've been a great content creator, photographer, videographer for a while. But what we can see behind you is, I think, your most significant and most wonderful and inspiring contribution to the world. It's the arts, it's your wonderful paintings. Talk a little bit about that, how you actually started as a painter and artist, and what inspired you to venture on this very interesting journey.
Okay, I'm gonna start maybe 8 years ago, probably that's when I went to Vienna. I actually wanted to become a crisis journalist, like a war photographer. And I studied for 1 semester and saw that that's really not for me, because too much text and too less photography. And I kind of ended up in an advertisement agency next to being a chef. And at one point in the career, I think I was 22 or something, I was okay, I want to take photography and videography seriously, switched over completely to like the agency, and then at one point I started to do like semi-nude and nude photography, and by a chance encounter, I started to paint. I sold my first painting basically the next day I started to paint. And then my mother-in-law at that point made it possible so I could have like a room in her house to like paint more and more. And yeah, within like, I don't know, like 4 months, I found my first curator, and 2 months later, my first online gallerist. And from there on, it was like a ongoing journey with like more paintings, more exhibitions, and yeah, you never stop learning. And yeah, now you see the stuff behind me all goes either, I don't know, to France or to Spain. Like it was all more or less like it happened by chance. I took the chance, and here I am.
I know that just recently, some of your works actually made it to New York, right? And you're now properly exhibited and showcased across the pond as well. I mean, I believe for a lot of people, it's probably, you know, a childhood dream or that idea that at some point in the future, you know, you're going to become an artist. And then when you look at it, it's a challenging path to choose in life. And it's something that you need to truly be invested in with all your heart and soul, with passion. It's something that you have to do from the heart. You have to love it because it's a grind. It's tough at the beginning as well. Where do you feel like that realization came in your life, or that light bulb went off where you knew this is kind of where you want to be and this is what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Yeah, like for me, I see it like that. I like, since I always try to, like, all my hobbies are basically art, all of them: photography, videography, cutting, painting. And I have the feeling that like all of the cooking, obviously, like all of those hobbies feed into each other at one point. Like when you're good with a camera, you'll probably be also good with like shapes in painting. When you can play a little bit of music or something, you'll probably understand a little bit about like tonality, around like how like everything feeds into each other. And for me, it was always like, I want to do something that where I can like let out my creative side. And as you said, it's always a bit of like you really need to invest time in it, in everything. Like, doesn't matter if you're in front of an easel or if you're on set or if you're like somewhere, I don't know, shooting like at 2 o'clock in the morning, some photos, like a journalistic story or something. Like for everything, you need like a lot of time and you need to invest energy in it. Like it never stops. Like, but I like
it's very interesting that you mentioned the culinary world as well. I know you're an excellent cook, and you hosted some mystery dinners and private dinners frequently over the past couple of years. You know, we want to talk about the amalgamation and the confluence of art and cigars today, primarily because most of the people joining us, you know, they probably have a certain interest in the artistic world, but obviously come from the cigar side of things. I love the fact that you mentioned the cross pollination and the inspiration that you get from various different industries and how it all kind of comes together in a vision, in a dream, in the artistry, in different ways and shapes and forms. How do you see your artistic expression and your paintings to be influenced by what you perceive every single day, by by great food, a great glass of wine, or probably the cigar that you're smoking right now?
Yeah, the answer is basically a lot. Like there are probably like as an artist, especially as a painter, I see it like in two ways. Either you're a painter that tries to, like when you come from an academical field, like in a university, you try to push art forward in general. And for me, who is not from an academical field, for me, it's more, what is my surrounding and how can I bring that on the canvas? You know, like there are people that go to like the easel with a concept like in mind before. And for me, it's actually like I see something, I smell something, I have a great experience, have a horrible experience, whatever. I bring that to the easel and then try to make a concept after, let's say, the first sketch is there or something. Like that's so, like I'm probably really influenced by my surroundings and by things that happen to me, like a lot.
And I guess it's a very personal expression of who you are, and as you said, the surroundings, but you kind of start to tell your life's story through your various artworks and the things that you create. What I find interesting about that is I think the same is true for a master blender, for somebody who wants to give his heart and soul and puts all of his passion and enthusiasm and experience and knowledge and finesse into creating something that is meaningful to other people. And that's also an expression of your innermost self. So when you think about a winemaker, when you think about a chef, when you think about a master blender who puts together a mystical cigar, a combination of many different gifts of Mother Nature, and then you bring it together in something that's so much more than just the sum of its parts, that says something about yourself, but also gives pleasure to other people. For you, how much of what you create is actually an expression of yourself and something that you want to either digest through your artwork, deal with some personal issues or even joy, and how much of what you create is with the consumer in mind, in terms of like working for other people, their enjoyment and their experience. Because ever so often on the show, we talk to the master blenders in the cigar world, and it's interesting where you see some people, they want to have their ear on the ground and their finger on the pulse as to what's happening in the market to create something to fill a void, whereas you have other people, and I think that's more of an artistic expression, that say, well, this is what I want to bring to the table. This is what I want to offer to other people to enjoy and appreciate and experience.
I think we need to split that in three kind of people. Because at one point, there is like the artisanal person, like a master blender. Like as much as he's an artist, he's also an artisan, like a
craftsman. You mean like
Kunsthandwerk? Like there is someone like he's really, really great at his craft. Like I don't know,
craftsman, somebody who's great at whatever they do. Yeah, I'm with you.
Then there is this one person that is just an artist and like maybe it's not the best in the artisanal field. And then there is the person who is also like more of the CEO, the guy who wants to make money,
business mind.
Get a bit with the business mind, exactly. So, and I think you have to be like a mix of all of those. I for sure am more the artist, and for sure at some point also like the businessman and not so much the artisan, but I'm working on it. I think like the mix is what makes you like into a good artist, to be fair.
I think that's a common misconception or a preconception when it comes to artists, or at least I had that in mind when I was younger, when I was a child. You know, you always think of an artist as a starving individual who is not well known or recognized for their skills and their profession and their craft, probably until they're long gone. You know, like some of the old. Some of the greatest artists, even some of the biggest composers and musicians, you know, sometimes it's only after they're gone that their true genius is discovered and unearthed. But do you think that is still true or prevalent in the artistic world? I mean, you know so many artists now internationally, and how much do you think is a business side of things, and how much is like the starving artist image?
I think the starving artist image is for sure kind of true, because a lot of people, like in my field, like it's not on an international level, but like here in Vienna or let's say Europe, they approach art, and I'm specifically talking now about like painting and like fine art craft, could also be like fine art photography, pursue their career as an artist just as an artist, and don't perceive it as a business. But since we're living in such a like fast world and we're so connected, like I have the feeling you at least need to be able to be like at least 10% businessman, or you're either really lucky, or you're really well connected, or like, I don't know, you're the child of nepotism or something. Otherwise, it will probably not really work out. Like, I think it's a good mix of everything, like being a little bit lucky, being a little bit of a businessman, and obviously be a good artist. Like,
Chris, what's interesting about that is also how I think the internet, online, social media, and the various platforms that we all live on now have tremendously changed the arts business as well. Like if we want to draw that analogy with the cigar world again, you know, that also changed drastically over the last couple of years with the rise of social media, with the online world, online sales, obviously. So I guess, as in every industry, you mentioned the fast-paced world that we live in. The past 15 years, 10 years, truly like exemplified a disruption and showcased new pathways and complete changes in so many industries that I'm sure you've experienced the same in the arts field. Tell us a little bit about how you see that market in general, and then I want to think about some of the similarities and the parallels with the cigar world as well.
I wouldn't specifically say art world now. I would probably say like internet market, self-marketing, because when you like compare like how Instagram worked, like let's say 6 years ago, and how it works now. If you, as an artist, doesn't matter what field, you could be a photographer, cameraman, whatever, chef. Like if you just post photos, for instance, like just photos on your feed, like this will go nowhere. Like you need to like do this short form video content, 30 seconds, catch the people in the first 3 seconds or something. So I think that's like a really big change. Like people don't have time for...
The attention span has changed significantly.
Very small. And on the like other side, I would say that some things didn't change at all. Like you can be like a huge name on Instagram if you're not in a single gallery, like somewhere. Like, yeah, like the overall art world will probably not give a damn about you. Like that's that you also have to see. Like, yeah, you can sell paintings over Instagram, but like if you want validation from the art world, then you probably still need to be in a gallery or a museum, or you need to do group shows, or try to like push art at itself forward, like just being famous on Instagram will not help you there.
I guess what's kind of the short of it is that social media gave everybody an opportunity to get your name out there, to get your face out there, and in that daily, hunt for instant gratification, it's very tempting to try and be very present on those platforms, get some recognition, chasing all the likes and the comments and the followers. But if I may interpret, for the arts world, and most certainly for the cigar world, being such an analog, old-fashioned industry, you just cannot beat the personal connection. You cannot beat the face-to-face time. You cannot beat the physical presence in a shop, at the retailer, and in your case, at the gallery. That's kind of where the magic still lies, and where the music plays. And I like that about the cigar industry. And I also like how with a great artwork, with a great piece, like a great painting, that's still something, at least in my mind, where you want to experience it in an analog way. You want to experience it firsthand, and ideally, sit down with somebody like yourself, come to the workshop, come to your studio, your gallery, and just spend some great time together to learn more about your work.
That's actually, I will put it like one way further. I think that since we live in this time, for me, it's super important that when if I give a painting away, and doesn't matter if it goes to America or if someone from Vienna gets it, really doesn't matter. I want to, when the person is abroad, to at least like video call them 2, 3, 4 times. I want to know this person. And when like something goes away in Vienna, like really, I think 95% of people come here and have a glass of wine with me, and we have like a good night out or something, because I think it's so important, because of social media, everything got like really like a little bit unpersönlich, like personal. So like
there's a bit of a disconnect for sure.
I had probably like over like 80 people in my flat. Yeah. Like, and I never had a problem. Like, and that was always a good, like we always had a good connection. Exactly. And like, I think that's something, because when you buy like a painting for quite a lot of money, like you deserve to, like, you get a piece from me, like a piece of what I did, but you also should have like a personal experience with it that only you have and you'll never forget. Like that's a
great point. In regards to the business aspect, Chris, I want to talk about the concept of NFT a little bit with you. I know you're very well versed in the digital world. You're a young dude, you're a digital native, and I know you have your perceptions and opinions about NFTs in general. And the cigar world just saw a very successful NFT drop over the last couple of days. I would like to say a week probably. A collaboration between a large cigar retailer in the United States and a very well-respected manufacturer. It was Smoke Inn's Abe Dababneh and Pete Johnson from Tatuaje, who got together for an NFT project, and quite successfully so. So let's talk about that in a second. But before that, I would love for you to just talk a little bit about your personal cigar journey. We sometimes have the pleasure of sharing a cigar in person. I know that you like to savor a premium cigar every now and then. What's special for you about the enjoyment of handmade premium cigars, and what's appealing to you as a young lad when it comes to the world of premium cigars?
Good question. For like I'm from, and you know that, like I'm from a culinary school. Like I also had what do you say, like a Jung sommelier, like a
sommelier.
but
Yeah.
like the lowest one, what you like learn in school, like not like you, but like still like as a sommelier. And that was my entry into like a higher culinary world where you, especially alcohol, where you don't consume alcohol to get drunk. I was 17, you know, where you don't consume alcohol to get drunk, but where it was really about like
The experience.
what do you experience, what do you feel when you drink it, what can you like feel out of it. And then at one point, for some reason, I got really interested into cigars. And I can remember that I told my mom, like, I want a humidor, and my humidor is still in Klagenfurt, and I think there are still cigars in there, whereas I was like, I want to try cigars because I have the feeling that is something that I could enjoy. And yeah, from there, it never stopped. Like, I can remember I told my uncle, like, yeah, I want some cigars for Christmas. And he called my mom and was like, can I give Christopher some cigars? And she was like, yeah, he's like responsible with it. And I think Reini is away now.
Yeah, I think he might have had some connection issues there. But it's fine. If you could continue, that'll be great. It's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah, and like from there on, like I started smoking, like from there on, like I started to smoke cigars. To be fair, at one point I picked up a bad habit. I started to smoke. But then like what kind of cured that was that I also tried to have like a pipe once or twice a day, like after work, because it's like meditating. Like it feels really like meditating, and it's just it's like a, you know, like a routine that you have for like calming down. And I'm like a person who's like really always on the edge, but like having like a cigar at night is something that's awesome. Like, you know, like we're just like contemplate on life, maybe read a book, do some sketches, and then just lay down or something. Like that's basically my cigar journey. And obviously Reini was a big part of that.
I appreciate that. And you know, that's what I love about cigars so much. It's time. It's time that you take for yourself, time you take to think about life and the world in general, but it's also the time you take for a great conversation and time shared with people that mean a lot to you. And especially when you pick a special cigar and you share it with other people, you sit down and you enjoy that moment together. That's something very particular and very unique. And I feel the cigar, the handmade premium cigar, is unique in that sense, where it gives you an opportunity to leave the world outside and to enjoy the moment to the fullest with people that actually matter to you. Mace, lovely to have you with us. Please chime in. I saw you had your hand up. Maybe a question or a comment, but thanks for being here with us.
No worries. Thanks a lot. And Christopher, great to meet you. And it's great listening to you, Christopher, because it's interesting. I'm sort of picking out on the parallels with painting and that world and the time elements, and what you mentioned about sort of when you're painting and you got to sort of meet people and you want to spend time with them and you want to sort of, you know, you want them to not just be buying your paintings, but almost getting a piece of you. And I can't help but think of, you know, I'm, you know, almost certain that from a cigar manufacturer perspective, it's the same thing, right? They're trying to create something that they're giving themselves a piece of themselves to the customer to say, this is what I like. This is what, you know, I smoke, or this is, you know, that flavor that I like. So it's really interesting hearing those parallels. It's really interesting.
I have the feeling that like, especially like when you're like a blender or like you're crafting something and you have a product, that's really good, and like people visit you, like you know that the product is good, but like when people come to you and like maybe you go through the like manufactory, or you have like a tasting, and then they take like a box home, like let's say 24 cigars. Every time they will smoke one cigar of that box, they'll remember that day. And I think like that's like something that is really honorable to achieve. Same for me, you know, when people are here and like they fall in love with a painting and with like a great evening, and they hang it in their like living room every day before they go to work. They look at it and they be like, oh man, that was a great night. Like, and I think that's something that I want to achieve. Like it makes total sense for me.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I guess that sort of led me on to a question that I've been wondering, and that's, it seems that the cigar journey definitely sort of came after the painting for you, but I wanted to understand how does one influence the other? I guess, how does the cigar, from your perspective, do you see it influencing your painting, your style, or the message you try to convey, or does what you paint come separate from cigars? Do the two ever sort of intermingle in a way?
It was exactly opposite. Like I started to smoke cigars when I was like 17. I started really doing art like 2 years later. And for me, it's not like only specific cigars, more like high value, what do you say, like also like a good red wine or something, you know, where you really calm down, where you really take time to like appreciate things. Can be a cigar, can be good food. It's not like that I like smoke a cigar and I'm like, oh yeah, now I need to like paint something about cigars. I think it's more about that you like when you already have like a lifestyle where you're like always quite stressed, but then you come home or you go somewhere fancy and you've like something good to drink, or you come home with a good cigar, you have a good pipe, you calm down, you reflect on that, then you paint. Like, I think that's like how I would see like an influence.
And would you ever consider, sorry, last question for me, but would you ever, your paintings thus far, would you ever see that sort of tobacco world, cigar world coming into your paintings, do you think? Or do you kind of keep them separate? What I mean by that is we've all got passions, as you say, you got, from a culinary background to a wine to tobacco. Do you see sort of as you go through the years, or something that you maybe already thinking about how you can maybe take some of that and actually express it through that painting? Is it something you've already done, or something that you might do?
That's a really good question. The problem is, I think I would have to think about this for a bit to like give like a honest answer. Like, because for sure you could say now, like, yeah, for sure, like I have like something that looks like smoke in my paintings, but like to like have a really honest like answer to that, I probably would need like a few minutes to like think about it. But let's get back to that. Like I'll keep it in mind.
That's fine. I'll leave you with that thought and look forward to the answer. Thanks, Reinhard.
Of course, Mace. Thank you. Chris, two interesting points that you just made me think about. One is, I guess, as a painter, you very early on, I have to say, you developed a certain style and a very specific pathway that you took with your paintings and the way you expressed yourself. And maybe part of the answer to Mace's question is it probably does not necessarily always fit to bring in other things and say, well, I'm gonna paint people with cigars in every one of my works. or you want to showcase food or wines in all of your paintings. And I'm sure there's another way of being influenced and bringing in the inspiration from those passions and hobbies and other worlds, and express them in a certain way through your own style that you have already developed. And I certainly see that with everything that you do. The other thing that you made me think of is you mentioned the word good, like a good work, a good piece of art. How do you even rate that, grade that? How could you even say, well, this is just a piece of shit that every 2-year-old could, put on a canvas, and then if you see it from one of the grand masters, you'd be like, this is it, which I believe is another common misconception in the arts world. And if you compare that, for example, to the cigar world, people have different palates and different tastes and different experiences, which is all fine and dandy. But there's certain objective parameters where you could say this cigar performs well, the construction is properly executed, the tobacco is well fermented, and the cigar has certain objective criteria that you could grade as a good cigar, right? Is that existent in the arts world? And how do you personally think about this is a great piece of work that you're actually happy with?
Okay, also, like, I think there are three answers to that. And we're coming back to that, like, crafting cigars or good wine comes back to you're not only an artist, you're also an artisan. Like, you're like a craftsman. Your art is crafting great cigars or great wine. And I think that's the biggest difference to like fine art. Like in fine art, you don't like, and now let's just talk about modern art. Like not like something like Dürer or like expressionism. Like let's just talk about what happened, let's say since the camera is invented. Like, for instance, let's take Malevich, black square. It's just a black square. Everyone could have painted that. Like you said, like a 2-year-old could have painted that. But it's not about what is on the canvas. It's about how it pushed art. Like there was like a whole concept behind it that you need to like read up on, or that you need to understand art history and like a lot of stuff to understand this painting. Like that's from the side of things that hang in like a museum. Like from my personal side, what is the difference between a good painting of me and a bad painting of me is that I have the feeling, a good painting for me is when I have the feeling, okay, if I do one more thing, like one more stroke, it's fucked. Like when I have the feeling there is
Amen.
everything I add on top will destroy what I made. Like that's my personal, like, what do you say? Like, then it's opinion on what it's good. And I think for a blender or for a winemaker, there are so many different aspects on like how does it perform, like what are the notes in it. Like I think you cannot compare that to like modern art. Like I think that's really like, that would be really a stretch.
Well, to me, in all honesty, I've certainly experienced the exact same feeling that you just described. That when you look at what you just created, and every little add-on would just ruin the whole thing. I've experienced that over and over again, and myself in my creations in the beverage world, when I was creating new product concepts, when I was crafting drinks, creating competition cocktails. I've certainly had that same realization that less is more, and if you can't take a single piece away anymore, then you've probably reached a great point in the evolution of that piece of work and piece of art. Also, something that I can add from my personal journey is I've seen it with chefs, I've seen it with many bartenders and mixologists throughout the course of their careers, and I've seen it in my own career that in the beginning you have to learn your basics. As a chef, you need to learn how to make a good sauce, a great stock. The basis, the foundation of everything. You have to understand your core ingredients, the stuff that you're working with, and then you become all excited and super enthusiastic and creative, and you start to you want to destroy everything. It's your Sturm und Drang period where you become super fancy and crazy, and you do foie gras infused this, and probably as an artist you start to paint with all crazy materials and weird canvas and what have you. And then there's the third evolutionary step where you understand that less is more, and the true art is in taking a few very basic ingredients and with finesse and grace and elegance put them together in a way that they can truly express themselves, and suddenly the magic of Mother Nature unfolds and reveals itself. And that to me has always been fascinating as a journey and as an evolution, and I'm pretty sure as an artist you go through such cycles in an evolution as well.
I'm totally with you, but I think there is a fourth stage, and that's the very first one, and that's fuck around and find out. That's the very first thing you do. You get color, you get a canvas, you're that doesn't work, let's try it again. And then at one point, you start to read up on color theory or whatever, and or what does this brush do, how does it affect my painting. Then you get to the stage where you try to master your craft, even though that probably takes 20 years, and then you come back to simplify everything. But yeah, I'm probably between the first and the second stage, because this fucking around and find out, this will never stop for me. I always try to what happens if I take a sponge? Let's paint something with a sponge. How does it look? Oh, it looks great. Let's do it again. Do it with another color. Okay, that looks horrible. You have to I think that's also a big process of being an artist. Doesn't matter what field. You have to be inventive all the time. Do it in a new way. And I need hear you. Someone else is come.
Joey made a good comment in the here in the chat. Learn the rules to bend them later. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Brian, over to you. Over to sunny California.
Yeah, it's very warm over here. I hope my device doesn't overheat. If I vanish suddenly, it's because my device got too hot. Fuck around and find out.
We just went from crazy summer to autumn on the verge of winter here. It's fucking freezing.
The quote of the day is "fuck around and find out." You heard it here first, folks. That's your famous quote. Reinhard, did you say cocktail competitions?
Oh yeah.
Have you seen Drink Masters on Netflix? Got to see, it's good. Drink Masters on Netflix. Anyway, I have two questions, if that's okay. I didn't ask one last week, so I get two this week.
Well, you get as many as you want.
These are the rules. Don't worry, I'm not gonna Macy the whole thing. So I'm curious. When Reinhard was talking about art being subjective or objective, and is there a way to define something as being good or bad? I ask these questions a lot about cigars and the difference between the U.S. perception and Europe, and now you've got your art in New York. And so I'm wondering, for you personally, do you feel like U.S. Consume art differently and have a different take on it? Maybe I would say less sophisticated, if I was going to put words in your mouth, versus the Europeans, for in general, and also just for your art specifically. Have you seen a difference?
Can you again, sorry, that was a long question. How do I consume art since I'm a painter, or since I'm from Europe? I didn't.
Oh, no, in terms of clients, customers. So the US market and how they consume art and buy art and think about it versus maybe European nations and those customers.
Okay. Good question. I have the feeling I'm gonna compare it to Austria to the rest of the world, if that's okay. I have the feeling that, and I've from my experience, it feels like that for consumers, and with consumers, I mean now people that buy art, the grass is always greener on the other side of your fence, because Austria is actually a quite famous country for art, with good painters, good musicians. There are a lot of people that were going crazy. The most expensive painting in Europe ever sold is from Austria, Gustav Klimt. And but when you live on your side of the fence, I have the feeling people don't really give a fuck, because you're one of probably 4, 5, 10,000 artists in Vienna, but if you make it over the pond, you're the one guy from Austria. That's why my answer would always be a little bit diluted, because I'm also the person who tries to sell somewhere, so I could never give you a proper answer that I can only tell from personal experience. But yeah, I can say that for sure, yeah, a lot of Americans really like my paintings. They, for some reason, always compare me to Basquiat. That happens a lot. And here in Austria, it's always more oh yeah, that's really nice of you. You're painting good. So over the pond, you even over Austria, you'll probably have better chances to exhibition than actually in Austria, I would say.
Can I just add something?
Just one more thing to it. When you're not when you're not studying art, when you're self-taught, when you're studying art, when you're in academia, tables turn. Then you're a artist that studied art, on Angewandte or wherever, then people will take you serious. In Austria, Austria is most of the times a few years behind on a lot of things. So Austria still does not take self-taught artists that serious. And when you go over the pond, there, it somehow doesn't matter anymore. For whatever reason, I could not tell you.
Brian, can I just cut in real quick? Just on that. It's really interesting that you mentioned sort of the Basquiat comparison, because I'm looking at the paintings in the background, and yeah, I can definitely see it. But just to elaborate on what Brian was saying, so if you've got two of those audiences, the European/Austrian in your flat, and you've got the American audience in your flat, yeah. I guess, do you find that one tries to influence your art more than the other, or tries to steer you in a different direction, or tries to ask you to do something different, and one is more accepting than the other?
To be fair, I have the feeling that the only people that really want to influence your art are people that either buy something from you on commission, or your gallerist. those are the two people that try to influence your art. And maybe your, I don't know, your girlfriend or your best friend, where it's like, oh man, you look like you have a bad day. Like, don't you want to do it a little bit brighter or in a different color, whatever. But otherwise, like, why, like, people buy things that already exist or they buy on commission. Like, those are the two options. And people buy what is like in the back of me, but for sure people say like, oh, I wish you could paint something again in like pink again or something, but that does not mean that I have to do that. Like, you don't need to do that. You could think about it and be like, okay, I could probably sell this painting 10 times. Maybe I make 10 paintings in this direction. But to be fair, I don't want to do that. Like, that would dilute a little bit of like what I'm doing. So I don't want to pursue that.
Good question, Mason, and great answer. I think I just am taking a stab at why, you know, the US maybe enjoys self-taught artists more. You know, there's all kinds of different sorts of issues here in terms of our universities being wildly expensive and people getting out into the real world and finding out that their degree maybe doesn't really add up to anything. So I think self-taught is really popular here. Musicians, actors, you know, at a certain point, the degree might matter in certain industries, but I think especially in the arts, a lot of times it really, really doesn't. So my second question had to do with, you were talking about when someone, I was on Instagram. I sent you a message, by the way. I really, really love your stuff. You know, you were talking about having a Zoom or an in-person experience with someone who buys the art, and you were talking about the importance of where did the art come from, who created it, and why, the story behind the black box or the black square. And I'm wondering, how much do you feel like this is important and translates into all different forms of art? Like, for a musician, do you look at just the piece by itself, the song, and judge it on that merit? And we talk about this with cigars. Is the story of the cigar maker important? And my mind always goes to, what kind of a character is the person creating the cigar or the art, and should that influence my decision? Mm-hmm. Like, if I disagree maybe with a cigar maker's politics, should I avoid it? You know, people talk about, like, should we stop listening to Michael Jackson because of his actions in the real world? These types of things. How important do you think that is?
I would like flip that. Like, I think it's more important, like, what you are as a person, and if it matters to you, that it's important to you, that you like want to have like this extra mile, because you can have a benefit out of it, that you have accept from the experience that you have while smoking the cigar, while drinking the wine, while looking at the painting. You have the experience on top that you met this person. Like, I don't think like it's, for me, it's like exactly the opposite. Like, you know, when someone does not want to come here, then I would be like sad, but I would still be like, okay, it's fine. You're missing out on something, but I don't like predict that. Like I want people to have the option to experience that. And I think it's with everything. Like, imagine you go to like a good vineyard or something, and like you're standing in the vineyard and you look at how the sun goes down, and you have like a great dinner there, and then you take like a box of that wine home, and you're like, then like some friends come over like a month later, and you like drink some of the wine, and you tell everyone like, actually, you know, I went to this vineyard and I met the farmer, and he's like 75 years old, and we saw a rabbit that went through the fucking field, and it was a great evening. And you'll always have this like memory in you, So it's not about the winemaker, it's about you wanting to have the experience. That is that an answer?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's poetic. Yeah, that's great. It's like opening a door to what's behind the art. It's like a behind the scenes vignette of the making of the film, or meet the artist, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I see it like that. Yeah, that's a good summary. Yeah.
And Chris, if I may chime in and maybe think about what you just said or interpret it a little bit, is that I guess there's different kinds of people. Some want to have that, as Brian just said, that behind the scenes, that extra step in the experience and appreciation of a piece of art or a meal, the wine, or a cigar, where it suddenly matters who's behind that, what's their values and beliefs. And some people probably just want to be experiencing that product more from a distance and just see it for its very pure intrinsic elements and values, and just enjoy that very piece, whether that's the individual cigar, the glass of wine Chris is just drinking, or one of his paintings, and they probably do not care all too much about who's behind it. I guess at some point, just for me personally, the more involved you get with something, the more passionate you get about something, I think at a certain point and level, it's just inevitable to look truly, because every product and every single piece of art in some way, shape, or form is an expression of who's behind it.
Mhm.
And you will eventually unearth that, and once you do, I guess you have to care about what's behind.
What's the question now? Like,
from me, there was no question, Chris. Sorry, it was just my 2 cents. And
No,
I was curious if you share the experience that it's also with the people who enjoy your art. There's just different ways of thinking about it. Some couldn't care less about who you are as a person, but they still enjoy your work and your art. And then others want to have that personal connection, and they want to buy something from you because they care about who you are.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you, but like from like my personal experience, and it's probably like maybe people read that in my paintings or something, people just know that I'm like a little bit nuts. And like then you attract people who are also like oh yeah, I have no problem to like going to that guy with like the mohawk and the beard, and like go into his flat and have a glass of wine with him, like, and that's like totally fine. And other people are not, but like most of the people are fine with that, and like we have a great time. But yeah, for sure, like I would not like tell someone to like you have to come here to like
Sure.
it would be like not like that would be...
Chris, let me ask you this, or let me flip the question maybe. So with your experience with cigars, whenever you enjoy a cigar, do you care about what's behind the cigar, who's behind it, and their values and beliefs, and how the whole thing came together? Or do you just enjoy and appreciate the aromas and the flavors as they are?
I mean, I would totally want to meet the person who is behind it. And I totally like want to like sit like on like where everything is planted, like somewhere in a field, like maybe have like a good glass of rum or something, and like just stare into the sun and have like a good conversation with the person behind it. Because like, but that's just me as a person. Like that's like like I think when you're a little bit adventurous, you always want to have that. Like I really don't care what industry, I would always want to have that, because like that also feeds into like all of what I can express. Like, but 100% yes, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Chris, I had briefly discussed this earlier or mentioned it earlier. The whole world of non-fungible tokens and how it disrupted the arts world, and it also crept into the cigar industry recently. What's your perception about NFTs in general? Have you played around with that concept at all? Have you worked with any other artists who are in that sphere or who ventured into it? And what's your personal take on the whole topic? And just to, sorry if I thought, to give a little bit of context for everybody watching, the auctions of the Anarchy NFTs, a project launched by Tatuaje, Pete Johnson, and Abe the Babness Smoke Inn. These auctions went live over the last couple of days and became quite successful. I think the winning bid for the first Anarchy NFT, the number one, was at around $100,000, and the other ones went for just below that. So quite an interesting little extra layer in the cigar industry and the business side of things there. But what's your take on this, and what's your thoughts on the NFT concept?
I have a bit of a split. Like, I think NFTs as a whole, good idea. Like, let's talk like 3-4 years in the future, there will probably be like a big market for that. NFT in the art world, when you're like doing like paintings on a canvas, what a lot of people did, like this, oh yeah, we photograph it, we make it an NFT, like the person who buys it gets the NFT plus the original artwork. I don't think that's good. Also, this whole like this Bored Ape stuff and like all of those art NFTs, that was like kind of a huge bubble. Don't think that was so smart. Like I like that was like just a fucking
brand,
hype.
you mean? Yeah.
But I totally see NFTs in the future, and I'll probably do some at the point where virtual reality gets to a point where I can paint three-dimensionally with like Google Tilt Brush, like some sculptures or some things, and people like have their VR goggles, like those Apple Vision things on in their home, and I can make one-of-one sculptures, three-dimensional ones, in the virtual reality for people at home. There I see a lot of potential, but like just selling prints as NFTs, there I don't see so much the point of that. Like, as soon as we're at a point in reality where virtual reality becomes so big that people use it every day, for sure, like, then it makes sense. When it's a completely electronic product, when you're not able to produce the same thing in the physical world. If that makes sense.
Yeah, very, very much so. Again, to the one point I made earlier, what I love about the cigar world, and I think to a certain extent that's true for the pieces of art we see behind you, there's an unquestionable charm about the analog and physical experience of appreciating and enjoying that very moment, and that, even if it's fleeting and it's not to be repeated, it's something that you just have in that very moment. A cigar that transcends and it goes up in smoke in the most beautiful way, and you cannot bring that moment back, but it's that memory you make that's so important and so valuable. And there's something so romantic about that analog experience and the time it takes and the appreciation you need to bring to the table. For you as a young lad, how do you think about the young generation and the future of industries like the cigar industry and also the world of art. Where do you see that balance between, you know, the constant acceleration and digitalization of pretty much every single aspect of our daily lives, and sort of the opposite to that, the romanticism of those old school analog things, of which not very many exist anymore, but the cigar, and if I may say, certain pieces of art still being amongst the most prominent of them?
Good question. Like, you can call me crazy, but I think that more and more young people will start to enjoy cigars, because like to every movement, there will be a counter movement. And, you know, like a lot of people, and like I said, I'm sorry for that. I'm also a cigarette smoker, but a lot of people are smoking those vapes and stuff, you know, like this really shitty vaping thing. And I think especially more and more I think coffee is a really good example. More and more young people, I'm not talking 16 right now, but let's say 25, 27, 28, get into craft coffee. And I think the same thing will at one point happen like with cigars, or maybe actually pipe again, or like smoking.
Well, I think it already is happening to a certain extent.
I mean, you're the expert there, like, but like because I'm pretty sure if I go like on TikTok, I'll find some people who'll be like, oh man, like maybe instead of smoking, you try like a good cigar after your shift or whatever. And people nowadays also like to be like, I don't want to say extra, but like, you know, like want to try something new that not everyone does. Same, like, let's say with the coffee, like something that's like
extravaganza.
Yeah, and an experience. So I totally see that like more younger people will like follow this route instead of like vaping or something.
And do you think that those worlds will kind of coexist as like thesis and antithesis, or do you think that there will be more of a confluence and a mixture and mingling of analog and digital, and what you have just explained beautifully, to kind of be combined with new technique, with innovation, with AI, with virtual reality? Like, do you know what I mean? Do you think of it more as like opposite poles that coexist and you go for either or do you think that naturally they will intermingle and create something new as you know, the synthesis of
Definitely second one. Like that's not two opposite poles. Like that's just like people, how can I say? It's not like that people are like, yeah, either I smoke cigars or I don't smoke cigars, or people that are like, I don't appreciate wine or I don't appreciate wine. I think it's with everything. Like you kind of get either like trained to do it, or you get influenced to do it, or you see something from, I don't know, your favorite actor, actress, model, whatever. And at one point you like, oh yeah, maybe I also tried it. And then maybe you also find enjoyment in that, or you see like a blog or whatever, and you know, like whatever happens in the internet, and then like it goes on to you. And then like it's a stupid example, really stupid, but like I've seen, for instance, a lot of content on TikTok about tennis, like playing tennis. I was like, oh man, I should play tennis again. And I phoned like 5 friends and was like, can I play tennis with you? And I have the feeling that like it's right now with everything like that. When you see it, you're more eager to try it, and you'll find enjoyment in it. Is that like an answer?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also meant it not just in do you consume it or not, you want to explore it or not, also in the way you actually do it for the people who are in it, where it suddenly becomes that mingling of experiences, digital experiences, something new.
I did not understand a single thing.
No, I think his
Turn-
band just cut out there. That's why we've lost him.
Turn off his video and just use audio. It's probably the best.
Yeah, Reinhard, try without the video. I think he's back.
And I was the one worrying about the internet connection.
This rarely happens for Reinhard, so it's yeah, it's unlucky.
We voted and nominated Mace as co-host officially.
For God's sake, I think I just very dramatic mic drop with my internet giving up entirely, right?
It happens.
Angry that your internet is going to give up. Mine is bullshit and wonk does not work properly. I do apologize.
It's fine. It's inspiration for my new painting, the funny robot. You still need to repeat the question, though I did not understand a single thing. Okay. Yeah, okay. Here he is.
Well, yeah, as I said, it happens to the best of us. And I just managed to do a very dramatic mic drop right in the middle of it. I don't know what's happening with my internet connection today. But anyways, I think at some point I'll probably write the book about funny moments when hosting a live show on a weekly basis. I have a whole list of funny little moments. Anyways, I do apologize officially live on the show. Sorry, Chris. You were worried about your internet connection giving up. Now mine was all wonky. Yeah, we're back. Anyways, so I hopefully will manage to keep a little bit of connection and some Wi-Fi here for the remainder of the show. But Chris, I have to say it's such a privilege and a pleasure to spend this evening with you. And I know today is quite different from all the other shows that we're normally hosting when we have, tobacco men and women, when we have brand owners, master blenders, and the people who craft cigars. And today is a very different show and a different vibe. But that's what I like about Light 'em Up and the community and the forum that we have built, is that we can talk about so many things that all reveal around cigars and impact the world of handmade premium cigars, and probably offer a little spark, a little sprinkle, a little thought here or there, or an inspiration to contemplate and think about the world and cigars differently. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you did as well. Chris, before we wrap things up, what's in store for you? Like, what do you see ahead of yourself in the foreseeable future, and what are some of the things that you're not only excited about, but that you're truly passionate about, and that you want to achieve in the next couple of years with your work, with how you express yourself through all your various endeavors?
That's really, what do you say, eine sehr philosophische Frage.
Yeah,
really,
it is a philosophical question. Yeah, definitely.
Let me try. I'm looking really forward to the exhibition in Spain. Like, that's probably happen in the next 3 months. And I probably be exhibitioned next to like a former James Bond actor, which is also really nice. Hope for the best. what else am I looking for? To be fair, like man, I just want to do what I'm doing, make people happy, make more faces, like I don't know, like just paint more, doing good stuff. Like is doing like what do you hope? The answer is like the answer, man, I am like everything I do right now is exactly what I like doing. So I don't know.
Chris, I would say that's a wonderful statement, and if you can say that in life, you know, every single step when you can reflect and you can look back and you say, I enjoy what I do right now, and I love where I'm at my journey. I think that's a beautiful realization and a beautiful moment, and I very much appreciate that, and I'm very happy for you. You know, I'm thankful and glad that I got to experience quite a few steps of your journey and accompany you, and you've accompanied me for quite a while, and I've seen you grow as an artist, as a human being, and I'm very grateful for that. And you know, I had no expectations with my question other than, you know, getting the unfiltered truth, and that's also something that I very much appreciate about you. Is you're a straight shooter, and you're very unfiltered in the way you express yourself. And
Like cigars, unfiltered.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. It was a pleasure, Chris. Thank you very much for taking the time and joining us today and spending this evening and your cigar with us. We will post a little link to your Instagram so that people can find you. And I know Brian posted it here in the chat already. But I wish you nothing but the very best. Tremendous success and joy with everything that you do. And keep your very unfiltered, beautiful nature and your pure soul, because the world needs people like that.
Oh, thanks.
Chris, it was wonderful to have you at the Light 'em Up Lounge. To everybody, thanks for joining us today. Have a delightful rest of your Wednesday. We'll be back next week with another very interesting show. Stay tuned, same time, same station, here at the Light 'em Up Lounge. We're in for a very busy September. Lots of stuff happening, plenty of events, plenty of travels. I'll be on the road a lot, and we're just waiting for Inter Tabac to start in about 2 weeks. The other very important trade show and big event in the cigar industry. So stay tuned for a lot of content about that as well. And in the meantime, as always, light them up. Cheers, and thanks for today. Goodbye, everybody.
Cheers. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Nice meeting you, Christopher.